Eckerlin? Is that correct? You place your left hand on the Bible and read your right. Do you sincerely and solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give tonight will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
All right.
Please state and spell your name and,
It's Herbert M. Eckerlin. You want my address? 4313 Azalea Drive, Raleigh, North Carolina, 27612.
Could you spell your last name, please?
Okay. Eckerlin.
thank you.
And Mr. Eckerlin, would you speak up as best you can to be sure the folks in the back can hear?
It doesn't work, Mr. Eckerlin.
Pardon me?
The
Does not work.
microphone
Oh.
does not work.
Okay. Thanks.
Raise it up.
Pardon me?
Raise your voice.
Oh, I will, yes, thank you. And if you don't hear, holler, please. My name is Herbert M. Eckerlin. I'm a professor emeritus at NC State in mechanical and aerospace engineering. I've worked in the energy field for over 40 years. Actually, it began with the Arab oil embargo in 1973. So the state and the country was going through a lot of turmoil at that time. And my colleagues and I felt that perhaps there might be some alternatives for the state and for the nation to consider instead of importing very expensive oil. So in 1980 and 81, because of that crisis in the nation and in the state, I designed and built the NCSU Solar House. Can you hear me back there? That was in 1980 and 81. It was done for research, educational, and research and demonstration purposes. The house was open to the public for over 30 years. Perhaps some of the commissioners and others have seen the house and have gone through the house. But because it was located in Raleigh, it had a limited reach. So in 1987 and 88, I founded the North Carolina Solar Center. The whole purpose there was to communicate the benefits of solar to the people across the state. So to speak, from Murphy to Mantia, which is commonly called here. About 4 years ago, now moving forward, about 4 years ago, 4 to 5 years ago, the name of the Solar Center was changed to the North Carolina Clean Tech Energy Center, and that's what it's called today. The precursor for that was, of course, the Solar Center. Since I'm retired, I'm not speaking for the university, and what I have to say are my own thoughts and experiences based on what I did at NC State. And the university has to be very careful about taking positions on controversial issues like this. That's happened in my case when I've lectured on other matters also. When people perhaps from one industry or another were offended by perhaps something that I had mentioned in a workshop or seminar. So I'm well familiar with the sensitivity that the university has with regard to these controversial matters. In order to minimize, now going back to this Beaufort situation, going back, let's consider the transmission losses that typically are a problem, an issue, a challenge for the power companies in the nation and in North Carolina particularly, for example, Duke. Take, for example, one of the things that the power companies have done all along is they've tried to locate power companies near load centers. An example of that in North Carolina might be the Roxborough plant north of Durham, which serves the Triangle and which also serves the capital city area. The Marshall Steam plant closer down to Charlotte serves the Charlotte metropolitan area. So transmission losses are important to utilities because of the cost. You're losing efficiency when you have to transport power long distances. So what we have here is we have two pillars here in terms of this renewable energy green movement that we have to recognize. One is energy efficiency, and the other is renewable energy. We want to optimize both of them. Now, locating a solar plant in rural Beaufort County violates the principle that power companies have typically followed about putting the power plants near the load centers. And so we have a situation where we have a fairly large utility-scale solar plant in Beaufort County, miles away from a load center. And what we're doing is we're transmitting that power north to some load, which is right now not defined. And so we're going to have significant transmission losses associated with that location. Furthermore, we have to recognize that Wilkinson Solar is not going to serve the citizens of Beaufort. It's transmitting this power north to another load, and probably not to North Carolinians. Now, I want to mention something which I think is very important for us, and that is, for us as a society, we have to adopt good principles and then implement them. The benefits of installing a large solar power station far from major loads and wasting that generated power to some extent through transmission losses makes no sense. Our society can do better, and we must. PV solar is a wonderful technology, but there's a world of difference about installing PV systems on the roof of a house, a building, an industrial plant, what have you, and using that energy there in the operation of that building, compared to installing a system out in a field, miles from a load center, and having significant transmission losses. We, you and me, are charged with the responsibility of doing what is best for our citizens. Let's adopt a win-win policy where we use renewable energy and minimize transmission losses, rather than win-lose, which is what is being proposed here. That ends my comments.
All right. Any questions for Ms. Whitten?